Okay, this is a poem called Fear by a 12-year-old girl named Eva Pikova. Today, the ghetto knows a different fear. Close in its grip, death wields an icy sight. An evil sickness spreads its terror in its wake. The victims of its shadows weep and writhe. Today, a father's heartbeat tells his fright. A mother's hang their heads into their hands. Now children choke and die with typhus here. A bitter tax is taken from their bands. My heart still beats inside my breast while friends depart for other worlds. Perhaps it's better, who can say, than watching this to die today. No, no, my God, we want to live, not watch our numbers melt away. We want to have a better world, we want to work, we must not die.
Homesick, March 9th, 1943. I've lived in a ghetto here more than a year, in Terrorism, in the Black Town now. And when I remember my home so dear, I cannot love it more than I did somehow. Ah, home. Home? Why did they tear me away? Here the weak die easy as a feather, and when they die forever. I'd like to go back home again. It makes me think of sweet spring flowers. Before, when I used to live at home, it never seemed so dear and fair. I remember now those golden days, but maybe I'll go back there soon again. People walk along the street. You see at once on each you meet that there's a ghetto here, a place of evil and of fear. There's little to eat and much to want, but no one must give up. The world turns and times change. Yet we all hope the time will come when we will go home again. Now I know how dear it is, and often I remember it.
Terrorism, that bit of filth and dirty walls, and all around barbed wire, and 30,000 souls who sleep, who once will wake, and once will see their own blood spilled. I was once a little child 3 years ago. That child who longed for other worlds. Now I am no more a child, for I have learned to hate. I'm a grown-up person now. I have known fear. Bloody words and a dead day then. That's something different than boogeymen. But anyway, I still believe I only sleep today, that I'll wake up a child again and start to laugh and play. I'll go back to childhood, sweet like a briar rose, like a bell which wakes us from a dream, like a mother with an ailing child loves him with an aching woman's love. I love tragic then, is youth which lives, with enemies, with gallows ropes. Hello tragic then, no children on your lap to say, this is for the good, that for the bad. Somewhere, far away out there, childhood sweetly sleeps. Along that path among the trees, there over that house, which was once my pride and joy, there my mother gave me birth into this world, so I could weep in the flame of candles by my bed.
Butterfly by Paul Friedman. The last, the very last, so richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow, perhaps that the sun's tears would sing against the white stone. Such a yellow, is carried lightly way up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. For 7 weeks, I've lived in here, penned up inside the ghetto, but I have found what I love here. The dandelions called to me and the white chestnut branches in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. That butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live here in the ghetto.
mother's brother was in Theresienstadt and then deported to Auschwitz. My mother still has some of his paintings. He didn't survive. We stayed in Paris about 2 months. In the meantime, we found out my father had already been in 3 camps in the south of France. My aunt and my mom decided they wanted to be near my father and my uncle. To travel there was not so easy, since the Germans occupied the northern part of France and the south was governed by the Vichy government. We had to get a guide and pay him to take us across the demarcation line with another 14 people. This was very dangerous because the Germans guarded the line with dogs, machine guns, etc. But this Frenchman knew how to cross at night without being detected. We passed a sign which said in German and French, anyone crossing would be shot on sight. We were lucky and made it across without being detected. Once on the other side, we took a train to Marseille, along with my aunt and cousin, but they had to get off in a town called Toulouse. My mom and I were told to get off 1 station before Marseille in order to avoid the police, but we forgot to get off and ended up in Marseille anyway. Luckily, there were several trains that arrived at the same time, which was good for us since there were so many people trying to exit and the police on both sides of the exit could not handle the crowd. I pushed my mom through the middle of the crowd and we made it out of the station. Since we had no ID papers, we were very lucky. We went to the Jewish agency in Marseille and were told we must register with the police. Now we were put in a detention center where we could go out during the day, but had to be back every night. This was all around 1941. I was 13 years old. In the summer, when I was not in school, I traveled with some of my friends to Camp Les Milles, about 30 miles from Marseille, where all our fathers were interned to bring them food, which we used to hide in our pants. We did this only during the summer when we did not have school. At the end of July 1942, the trucks came to load us up from the detention center and took us to the camp where my father was. Now the Germans gave the order that all the Jews were going to be deported. The Jewish agency, which was still operating, got permission to take all the kids under 14 out of the camp with their parents' handwritten permission. This was the worst moment for me and my parents. I got on the bus with all the other kids, not knowing where we were heading. We traveled about 2 hours to a hotel called Bompard. There we all assembled and were put in different rooms, 8 or 10 kids to a room. We were only 12 to 14 years old. It wasn't very pleasant. 2 weeks later, we heard that our parents were put in cattle or freight cars and deported. We never heard from our parents again. Much later on, we heard that they were sent to Auschwitz, where they were gassed.